The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information. Tonight, on Sightings, could this airliner crash have been prevented by listening to one man's dream?
This is one of the few cases where somebody who had a dream came and told somebody in advance.
Do people like these twins possess the exceptional power to communicate telepathically?
She fell a bike and got 92 stitches, and I was downtown in the hardware store, and I just dropped to the floor screaming bloody murder, holding my face.
Has science found a link between luck and ESP?
There are people alive today because of some of those decisions that came by that sixth sense.
And if everyone has hidden psychic powers, how do we learn to use them?
We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
Has your intuition ever told you that the phone is going to ring, and then it does? Have you ever had a sinking feeling that a loved one's in trouble, and then you find out that they really are? Well, these experiences happen to us every day. Are they mere coincidence, random chance, or could they be something more? Perhaps a sixth sense? Hello, I'm Tim White. Tonight, we'll explore psychic experience on Sightings.
At that point, it started to appear.
They had claw-like hands.
I began sensing and knowing and feeling.
I do believe in life after death. I'm there.
Not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
It's a connection with the unknown.
Perhaps the most dramatic example of the psychic experience is when someone makes a prediction that then comes true. Parapsychologists call it precognition. Skeptics call it coincidence. In 1979, a man named David had a recurring nightmare. In one of his last public statements in 1980, he told of having the same dream 10 nights in a row. On the 11th day, that dream became a tragic reality. Precognition. The ability to see into it may not. The date of one of the worst plane crashes in history. A DC-10 took off from Chicago's O'Hare Airport, flew a half mile, then suddenly turned on its side and slammed into the ground, exploding on impact. All 272 people on, but perhaps this could have been prevented because this deadly crash happened exactly the way one ordinary man had dreamed it would.
The important thing here is that this is one of the few cases, the only one I've ever known about, where somebody who had a dream came and told in authority or in advance instead of after.
That man was 27-year-old David Booth, a rental car manager from Cincy, who kept having the same disturbing dream.
On the morning of May 16th, I had a dream, and I look up in the air, and there's this great big jet, and it wasn't making noise good. It starts to turn with the wing going up in the air, and it just goes on its back and then goes straight down into the ground and it explodes. I can't even describe the type of explosion that it was, and the terror, just that instantaneous terror that just struck me right then.
In his dreams, Booth always saw the logo of one specific airline after having the same nightmares.
Prediction is just disturbing. And, you know, we made notes of it. You couldn't just arbitrarily ground an airline because somebody dreamed of something.
On Friday, May 25th, 10th night dream, the emotions that I had been having were still there, except I knew that that was it. That was the last time that I had to dream.
In Chicago, and it had turned, and it was turning back. There were some discrepancies, but there was an awful lot of similarity as to what happened on that Friday afternoon.
David Booth's worst night came, and it was amazing. He had caught the air, the model of the plane, the way it would turn on its side. He'd seen the right engine fall off, and the plane fell from the sky and burst into flames. Dreaming and real life were now one.
I was trying to blame myself, where he was saying, you know, that was, it was something that, I didn't have to do.
Since this interview, David Booth has kept his life private. He has made no more public predictions.
What you've got to understand is that while Mr. Dream that had a prediction, if you will, there was not enough of a prediction to say what, where, when, why, or how. And there was nothing that could be done And you couldn't take government funds, chase somebody's dream with them.
The airline David Wood dreamed about was not grounded because in corporate America, cognizance is not considered reliable information. But in other cultures, psychic ability is actively pursued. A Bible ceremony, the traditional domain of the psychic experience. Firewalkers use mind over matter to withstand the blistering heat of red-hot coals, searing the soles of their feet. Bengay men stab cell razor-sharp knives, but in these monks mystical visions. These are the images we associate with the extraordinary powers of... The mystery of psychic ability has captivated people since the beginning of time. But until the late 19th century, most parallel with religious beliefs.
The Bible is full of paranormal phenomena, which we declare as miracles. Throughout the Middle Ages, the lives of the saints, recorded history of the Catholic Church elsewhere also document numerous that paranormal.
In the 1880s, the British and American Society for Psychical Research began the first scientific study of paranormal phenomena, investigating claimed ghosts and life after death.
Very quickly, the scientists realized that there seemed to be a class of phenomena that we call telepathy, extrasensory perception, kinesis, really, that do not stick with the dead.
The scientist most responsible for the focus, the abilities of the living, was Dr. J.B. Rhine, who founded the Institute for Parapsychology at Duke University in 1930. Dr. Rhine brought parapsychology into the laboratory to describe
it really exists. The implications begin with the basic fact that ESP is non-physical. It shows that there's something that man can do that extends beyond space-time.
Dr. Rhine also investigated and believed in the existence of psychokinesis, the effect of mind over matter. Rhine's work caught on rapidly with the public. It was the Depression era, and people seemed anxious for something to believe in. In fact, his ESP theories were so popular, countless fakes arose to cash in on them.
Even though my eyes are sealed, I shall read a newspaper. This is a feature picture page.
But Rhine's work was considered fakery too, by mainstream scientists unwilling to accept his controversial theories. And without concrete proof, the public's interest in ESP soon faded. It lay dormant for 30 years until the 60s counterculture of interest. It was a time, once again, when people were actively seeking new answers.
In the 60s, people were really into alternative lifestyles, drugs, Eastern religions, and different modes of lifestyle practice, and to try to enhance one's own being or spiritual nature, and even, I think, thought processes.
The big name in the field was J.B. Rhine. By now, ESP was taking on psi, the unknown. But when it ended, so did its fads, and widespread interest in parapsychology waned once again. 30 years later, we're looking back at 100 years of our own research and that of experimenters worldwide, and looking forward to a new millennium, where researchers tell us ESP or psi phenomena could simply be part of our everyday lives.
My perspective that if things like ESP or psychokinesis truly exist as human abilities, then their day-to-day functioning will be so thoroughly merged with all our other abilities that we really won't see them.
If it's true that a sixth sense, extrasensory perception, occurs only in subtle forms, then psychic experiences can be easily written off as chance or coincidence. But when the circumstances are more dramatic, when a life is at stake, the psychic potential mind is not so easily dismissed. July 31st, 1991. Rescue teams in Palm Springs, California responded to the deadliest accident in the city's history. A bus full of Girl Scouts rolled over and crashed. 7 people died, 4 seriously hurt.
Seen anything of this magnitude before. We've multiple fatalities in accidents, but never on this scale.
Later, officials can see creating a branch for an upcoming disaster training drill. One man's hunch would be very significant.
I was who said, yeah, I can put the crash together, and I chose the day, and January 28th just seemed to be a day that fit.
That date, January 28th, not only fit, it was the first in a string of seeming random that were wheels.
Over the side, beyond Highway
For the first time ever, disaster teams chose a mock bus crash for their practice drill. They chose 30 victims, complete with makeup. They even treated the meet as if it were a real accident.
I don't have time to talk. We're going to have a public information officer here as soon as we can.
This was training designed to prepare for a real-life emergency, but no one knew just how close to real life rescue workers had come. Just 76 hours after the bus crash drill, and 6 months to the day after the Girl Scouts bus had crashed, something incredible happened.
I was sitting at home and I saw it flash on the television set that we had an actual bus crash on Highway 74. And I said, my God, they got a real crash, and here we just had a training exercise 3 days prior.
As I approached the incident, the bus was on the same side of the street, off the side of the hill. It had flipped over 1.5 times, about the same type of terrain, maybe a little steeper, but the bus looked very similar. It landed, as did back versus the train size.
And the startling similarities didn't end there. There were just over 30 victims in this crash, the same number used in the drill. They were all female, and in the same age range as the first crash. The accident site was less than 5 miles site. All 3 crashes occurred on the same highway, in the afternoon, and in the school bus. Rescuers who worked on both the drill and the crash wondered if the similarity could be more than chance.
And it seemed like a vu. We were just out there with another bus with 24 victims.
Finally comes in your mind, wow, this is really coincidental. This is like a deja vu. Been there before, and why is it happening all again?
But this time, no one died. Was it coincidence?
I guess you could call it coincidence. I kind of believe personally that there's kind of a reason for everything, and I believe, looking back now, that one of the reasons we had the better errors for the actual, the second bus crash 3 days later.
Coming up, a psychic helps police solve murders by becoming the victim herself.
I find myself actually looking like I'm looking at the scene.
Paranormal researchers suggest that we're all born with some psychic ability. They believe that everyone's powers of extended perception can be made to develop and grow stronger through subtle changes in the perceiving information without using the 5 senses. Experts believe that ESP may be strongest at night. Throughout history, night has been a time of mystery and the supernatural. But many believe that it's more than just myth. We are more susceptible to psychic experiences late at night.
There's something different about the brain during the nighttime that allows psi phenomena to occur. The brain becomes electrically active, specifically between midnight and 4 in the morning, and telepathy and clairvoyant cases become more likely to occur.
Besides time of day, there may be other environmental factors that create conducive states for psychic impressions.
There's another entirely different line of research that's relating certain ESP events to physical phenomena such as the geomagnetism of the Earth.
One can look at the Earth as a giant magnet. Right now, as you're sitting in your living room, you're a geomagnetic field. Cannot escape it. It even penetrates the house, penetrates through your brain. And we now know that certain individuals are sensitive to geomagnetic activity. They're also more prone to experiencing and reporting psi phenomena.
Magnetic fields aren't the only physical properties that may affect ESP. Some researchers think weather, or more precisely, fluctuations in weather, may also produce conditions of heightened psychic sensitivity. But the most dramatic correlation between weather and ESP has come from those who have had a close encounter with lightning.
Those who are struck by lightning to support psi phenomena, that they suddenly have psychical phenomena taking place. Regardless of how you want to define it. They see themselves as different. They seem to perceive them in a different way.
It was one of those, and as I watched the lightning, I thought, it's so beautiful. And the next thing I know, the Venetian blinds that wrapped around me, the chimney was in the neighbor's yard, both windows were completely ripped out of the sills. The bed I was in was on struck our home.
Before Greta Alexander was struck by lightning, She did not have any psychic abilities, but after she was hit, Greta claims she began to experience psychic phenomena.
After that, I began sensing and knowing and feeling. I was crying and pacing the floor because I kept seeing pictures and hearing things and knowing things. I would know when my parents were coming. I would know when he was going to sell a policy. I would know about the children.
When you have a lightning strike and that kind of current induction, that certain neurons within the brain are damaged, and the regrowth basically restructures, rewires the brain, specifically in the deep temporal lobe, which allows you to perceive things and have properties that are quite different than before.
One of your talents is to be a teacher or a nurse to work with children or people. That's one of your...
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It took time for Greta to accept a newfound window on the psychic world, but once she did, she became famous for sharing her powers with others, at first through readings and consultations. Later, as her understanding of her skills grew, she began conducting psychic medical diagnoses.
Now, you're out in your little bit. Here are your limbs. Here.
They always have.
Okay. Cancer is easier for me to recognize. Heart disease, very easy for me to recognize. Gallbladder, stomach. But I feel that I am not a physician. I will speak with their physician and tell him, and then he can do the sophisticated tests.
She not only claims a very high success rate with her diagnoses, in some cases she will even attempt psychic healing.
I feel that what the mind can conceive, the body will achieve. And the brain is in a constant process of knowing. We have not scratched the surface of what the mind can do.
But it isn't her controversial medical claims that have made Greta Alexander one of the most famous psychics in the world. It's her role as a psychic detective, helping law enforcement agencies across the country solve cases, ranging from arson to kidnapping to homicide. She has little bodies.
I find myself actually looking like I'm looking at the scene.
She eventually assumes the identity of the victim, in this case, that of a young woman murdered by her boyfriend.
But you actually see these things that she's seen. And I will say, I'm very frightened, I'm very afraid. I am underneath of some bushes, and I will say, I am. Because I actually feel like that's me.
But after hundreds of cases, sharing each crime with its victims has taken an emotional toll.
I don't work murder cases anymore, though. I'd quit that. It's too hard on me. When you become a victim and you feel the pain.
But not all of her detective work has been in the field. Being a psychic sleuth has had its uses at home, too.
I had daughters and one son, and the girls would want to know, and that worked pretty well. They didn't like it when I would know there's a drive-in movie, and I would mentally look, and I would tell them, now, wait a minute. Changes in your professional world.
Whether or not Greta Alexander has extrasensory perception, a fateful lightning strike 30 years ago did change her life, triggering abilities Greta feels we all have.
I think there are abilities. Everybody's got it. Everybody can play chopsticks. I can just happen to play Chopin.
Coming up, they look alike, act alike, and think alike because of a strange psychic bond and scientific proof that ESP exists.
Intuition, that vague sense of knowing what will happen or what someone else is thinking, appears to be strongest among family members where a strong personal bond is already at work. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the case of, especially identical twins. Telepathy, mind. The media capitalizes on the physical bond between Stacy and Tracy Bain, but their bond goes deeper. Stacy and Tracy are more than identical. They're mirror twins. Stacy's left side is identical to Tracy's right, even down to identical birthmarks and matching dental charts. The reflection of one another extends to the way they think and feel.
We have a couple of friends that just like to sit down and watch us talk because we very often finish each other's sentences.
Stacy are so much alike that when they were born, no one could tell them apart.
They mixed us up when we were little. They took our arm bracelets off when we were a day old. Yeah, and so they don't know if they ever put them on the right twin, because the
baby pictures of us are bizarre. They did studies when we were, and there's Polaroids, and we roll over at the exact same time.
As the twins grew older, they discovered that they could sense things about each other even when they were apart, including feeling physical pain.
Of a bike and got 92 stitches in her face. And I was down, dropped to the floor, screaming bloody murder, holding my face. And Dad went directly to the hospital because he had a feeling something was wrong with Stace. And they were in at the exact time scrubbing Stacy's face.
Scientists have studied the high incidence of telepathy in twins. They theorize that physical closeness may extend to eerie similarities in the way their minds work. And indeed, Stacy and Tracy have followed remarkably similar paths, and they chose the same career in front of the camera.
We work in front of a camera. A lot of photographers said that's the strangest experience I've ever had, because we came by friends. They would constantly express the same expression without looking at each other. And it would go from a serious to a smile to a serious, and it would be exactly the same. And we felt that in front of the camera.
For 12 years, they modeled and acted in TV commercials playing off their twinship. But the psychic connection extended past their professional lives into their personal lives. These twins mirror other physically, professionally, and psychically. And now they're even sharing the same experiences in motherhood. Stacy is the mother of 3, reliving her first pregnancy through Tracy, who is 9 months pregnant with her first.
We both went into premature labor the same week, to the day. I mean, I went into premature at 32 weeks and 3 days, and she had with her first single, and I'm having a single, and she had a single, the first one.
It may be that ESP simply functions best when that emotional attachment is there, that it's not so much a conscious or semi-conscious need. That's the natural way that extrasensory events take place.
The incidence of an identical twin having identical twins is 1 in 12,000, but Stacy beat the odds. She had twins, and now Stacy and developed between 8-month-old twins, Aaliyah and Asiya.
They lay identical. If one turns over, the other one does.
And Mom is scared watching because so much. She says it's all over.
2 baby girls, sisters, continuing a legacy, the intriguing bond between twins. Anecdotal information about the existence of telepathy and clairvoyance, like the experiences of twins, may be telling to us. But scientists around the world are looking for more concrete proof. In the search for proof of telepathy, researchers at the Institute for Parapsychology in Durham, North Carolina, use an ESP test called the Gansfeld experiment.
I think lower down is more comfortable.
In this test, the Institute's Dr. H. Contamani works with the subject to look for proof of ESP. First, he is subjected to sensory deprivation. By taking away his physiological senses, like perhaps a sixth sense, telepathy will be more pronounced, allowing the subject to receive mental images from a sender in another room. Through headphones, he hears only static. The red lights appear as a pink glow through the white plastic covering his eyes. This is thought to improve relaxation. In a relaxed state, deprived of heat, the subject will be better able to concentrate on his internal thought processes. In another room, Dr. Richard Broughton's computer generates a random number, which corresponds to his lot. The sealed packet is given to the sender. Another random number identifies the one picture she will try to mentally transmit to the subject. In this case, a photograph of a tortoise. The sender knows which picture is being used. She writes her images and draws. Many of the images Beaver describes are remarkably close to the actual picture.
I feel like I'm in the woods. I was hitchhiking. He's standing in tar. No, different. No. I feel like I'm in a ballroom. My hands are rough. Eye cracked.
Jordan described the picture of the tortoise. When the receiver and the original 4 pictures are brought together, he is asked to pick the picture that most closely fits what he was seeing.
Because they're putting 100 points, Krista.
Say 90 for the tortoise.
He gives the tortoise his highest rating, 90 out of 100. Then the sender is brought into the picture.
Is
was.
This is the one he picked it. Number one. Number one.
Critics outside the field say, look, they just, you know, this is chance, they're just ones at work, etc. Well, we have found decade data combined to show there are general trends. And we have data which demand some kind of better explanation than committed.
This one stuck out right away.
It was a good year.
It was
really
great.
good.
Coming up, the strong psychic bond between parent and child, and a dog who saved a life because he sensed trouble when no one else could.
Sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. Some scientists are now looking at evidence that a sixth sense exists, and whether or not it's part of lives as the other five, that having a psychic experience is part of being phenomena or what thought and feelings of speaking. The innocence and wonder of childhood. Experts believe that this time for August.
What that amazed me about Ariana, and I think it's happened between a lot of mothers and children, is that I would be thinking something, and this was when she could barely speak, and she would just do that action at that moment.
Being human gives one the ability to have extrasensory experiences, that it's just a part of who we are.
Psychic ability in children is now just a theory for further scientific exploration, but it's something very real to parents who experience it all the time.
I wasn't always looking at whatever I was thinking about. Yeah, sometimes thoughts just go through your mind, and it was as though she could just pick that up and say, here.
I think that children have a strong telepathic bond with their mothers starting in the womb. And it persists for a long time after birth. There's a kind of intuitive knowing between infant and mother. It's very advantageous in one way because it makes the mother much more sensitive to the infant's needs. But as the child gets older, conflicts develop. Here we get into the area of why don't we have ESP when we grow up? Now, the infant is picking up in a telepathic way the mother's emotions. And while they have a general love for their infants, sometimes they get mad, sometimes they get frustrated. But they don't say that, of course. Well, if the child's psychic channel is still picking up these feelings of anger, but the external sensory channel, the one we have to live with, is saying, no, this is for your own good, I don't like to do it, this is a terrible conflict.
A parent thinking one way but acting other. Experts theorize that this mixed message may subtly teach children not to trust extra perception. Psychic ability is suppressed in favor of more external communication, the spoken word. Because of their belief that psi phenomena is something humans are taught to suppress, paranormal researchers are beginning to gather evidence of psychic ability in animals. Studies do seem to indicate that the special bond between pets and the people who love them might be much stronger than we'd ever imagined. At home in Albany, Indiana, 11-year-old Billy and his parents, Betty and Bill Foy, are spending more time together these days. And their days are a little sweeter because Bill Foy is alive to enjoy them. You see, last year, he almost died.
By the time I got home, he would probably have been dead. So, I mean, it's really a miracle that things happened the way it did.
Perhaps Bill Foy's life was saved because one family member sensed he was in trouble and got help. That was Duke, the family dog.
Working on the backhoe, bracket that holds the hoe to the tractor pivoted and fell down on me, pinned me to the floor.
With 700 pounds of backhoe on his chest, Bill's desperate cry for help was inaudible.
I yelled once for my son to come and help me. I don't think he or the dog, either one, could hear me.
But it seems Duke could sense that something was wrong.
Well, I was in the house doing my homework. Duke went to the window, started barking, so I let him out. I followed him to the garage, and that's where he was.
The dog led him right to me on the tractor, and the boy, using this jacked it up off of me and to where I could breathe and get me out from under it.
I was scared out of my wits and everything, and I was worried that he might die.
And I think it's just the Lord's way of having the animals be able to sense things that we can't.
He thought that I should go out to the garage, follow him, and that's what I did. He probably thought it, and that's what I did.
Bill was rushed to the hospital. And thanks to Duke and Billy, he's made a full recovery.
Everything happens for a reason in our life. And I think the reason why he got Duke was so he could save my husband's life.
Ironically, just 3 days before the accident, the Foys had saved Duke's life. He was about to be put to sleep when the Foys adopted him. Was that coincidence or psychic intervention?
He came into our life so he could help us save my dad's life.
But there was one tragedy that not even Duke's ESP could have prevented. Duke was struck by a car and died. A simple, unmarked grave on the Foy's property is the final resting place of a very special dog.
It just seems so cruel that he only lived for 4 months after doing something so heroic.
To all of us, he shouldn't have gone. He still had a lot more time to stay here on Earth. But I know he's happier up there than he is here. But I wish he was here.
This is Rex. He's the new family pet in the Foy's life. The family wonders if he, too, will develop the same sixth sense that they believe made Duke so special.
When we come back, a fire captain who believes his psychic ability saves lives. And is it possible to operate a machine with mind power alone?
Luck. Being in the right place at the right time. Winning the lottery. We've come to view these events as a fluke, just freak circumstances. But some paranormal researchers believe that luck may work the other way around. That luck is a form of psychokinesis, the result of our minds affecting the environment. Psychokinesis, also called PK, affecting the environment with your mind. Was it luck or PK that played a role on August 15th, 90? A violent flash flood descended on Phoenix, Arizona. Desperate people caught in the rising waters were rescued. December 19th, 1991, a Phoenix man had a stroke and collapsed while hiking on a mountain trail. A dramatic air rescue whisked him to safety. 2 tragic events where lives were at stake. 2 rescue operations that succeeded. 2 emergency situations where some believe one man's psychic ability saved lives.
My personal part in this was more than just a coincidence, luck involved. I believe everybody has that sixth sense. Some choose to ignore it, some choose to listen to it and pay attention. And I'm one of those that realizes I do have that sixth sense.
Rescue operations are a day's work for Tim Gallagher, a captain in the Phoenix Fire Department. Whether he does have psychic ability or is just plain lucky, he is exceptionally good at his job. Take the floods that hit Phoenix. In 1990, Phoenix had been in the midst of its worst drought in years. But Captain Gallagher's strange feeling that Phoenix needed a water rescue program. Buying costly equipment and retraining for a water disaster in the middle of a drought seemed completely illogical, but Gallagher urgently pushed for the program.
I can't tell you specifically what that sense of urgency was brought on by, but I just had a feeling we had to get on board with this, get the training, get the equipment, because it was going to happen to us sooner than later.
And it did. Less than 1 month after the water rescue program was instituted, the flash floods came.
We saved lots of victims out of the water, and no rescuers got hurt in the process. I do believe there is such a thing as ESP, that sixth sense, that inner feeling, and I listened to my gut instincts.
In December 1991, Captain Gallagher was right again. A mountain rescue where his gut instinct was just one link in an extraordinary chain of events. A 27-year-old man hiking near Squaw Peak collapsed, the apparent victim of a heart attack. The first hiker to approach just happened to be an off-duty paramedic. He sent someone down the mountain to call 911 as he began life-saving CPR. The nearest phone was over an hour away. Or was it?
It just so by coincidence happened at this time that a fellow hiker was passing by and offered the use of his cellular telephone that he was carrying, of which I was able to call 911 and begin the process a lot quicker than what anyone going down the mountain could have done.
And who is called to respond to the emergency? Captain Tim Gallagher, who once again had a life-saving hunch.
Something told me this is not an ordinary incident. This is not an ordinary heart attack. I just had a gut feeling that we were going to need to do a technical rescue off the top of that mountain.
The first call reported only that there was a heart attack near Squaw Peak and to stand by. But Captain Gallagher didn't just stand by. He dispatched a helicopter. By the time a second call came in requesting a helicopter, Gallagher's team was already airborne, outfitted with a brand new long-line rescue basket, a piece of equipment that Gallagher had purchased despite resistance from co-workers.
And the initial reaction was, you know, what is this? What is this new gadget here? We're doing fine with what we have. You'll see. This is going to be neat. It saves time. It will save lives someday.
Someday was this day. Tim Gallagher, the basket, the helicopter, the cellular phone, the hiking paramedic, they all played a part and saved a life. Was it luck, coincidence, or is it possible that another power, psychokinesis, was at work here?
There are people alive today because of some of those decisions that came by that sixth sense. So in that regard, I guess it was for a reason. It is very beneficial to not only myself, but those people that we have saved.
Many psychical researchers believe that luck is something we can control, that our own psychokinesis is always at work in the environment. Call it PK or call it mind over matter. There are scientists who are now investigating just what kind of matter we might be able to control with our minds.
Is there really something to the fact that when I get up in the morning in a foul frame of mind, my car stalls? Is there something to the fact that when I'm running real late, the computer crashes? Do Xerox machines really break when you're under pressure? People joke about these things, but nobody before has really tested this. And with this type of technology, with an increasing dependence on such technology in our culture, we really ought to know.
Could it be possible that machines are susceptible to mind control? Imagine the implications if we could predetermine the winning numbers in the lottery, or bet on a roll of the dice, knowing what the outcome will be. The implications are so compelling that big business is asking, can we affect machines with our minds? This question is now being answered at Princeton University. Their Engineering Anomalies Research Lab, or PAIR for short, claims that psychokinesis, or PK, is scientific fact, that the human mind can contradict the laws of physics and alter the way mechanical devices work.
The experiments are well controlled. We believe the results we're getting, and the results tell us that there is a small effect of the human consciousness on the way the machine behaves.
Dr. Robert John founded the PAIR Lab in 1979. Dr. John's background is strictly scientific. He was dean of Princeton School of Engineering for 15 years, directing major research projects for the Air Force and NASA. He co-authored Margins of Reality, a scientific study including his breakthrough research on mind over matter. The PAIR Lab runs 4 basic experiments. The first is called the REG, or Random Event Generator. It's a computer that simulates flipping 200,000 coins every second, and then displays the results in graph form. The laws of probability state that after the flip, roughly half the coins will be heads, half tails. But when a human seated in front of the computer tries to influence the outcome with her mind, the results are compelling.
The random event generator, which is our benchmark experiment, really established that the effect was a real one, and we learned something about the parameters that influence that interaction.
This is the fountain experiment. In normal operation, a jet of colored water at constant pressure shoots straight up. Through psychokinesis, a subject sitting in front of the fountain tries to affect the way it naturally flows, either altering the height or the direction of the falling water. Long-term results show that slight variations do occur.
They can make them go high, and they can make them go low, or make them go to the right and to the left. But the exciting thing, of course, is there's no connection between the operator and the machine of the usual sort. no wires hooking them together.
In this experiment, a crystal pendulum swings back and forth with precise regularity. But the Princeton operators have been able to change the swing of the pendulum without ever touching it. They simply use their minds. A random mechanical cascade. 9,000 plastic balls dropping through 336 nylon pegs. They should end up distributed in a bell-shaped curve. But again, Princeton operators try to influence the outcome.
The effects that we see are rather small effects. But one of the things that we're really looking at is whether people can inadvertently affect sensitive electronic equipment.
PK does affect simple machines at Princeton. If the same is true for more complex machines, like automated tellers, the implications are staggering.
Is it possible that the operator of an airplane or the operator of a very delicate piece of surgical technology is also influencing the behavior of that machine? Whether these tiny effects of the interaction of consciousness with simple physical systems will survive to that level of importance, we don't know. But it seems like a worthwhile question to pursue.
Psychokinesis, telepathy, clairvoyance, concepts that seem to contradict the physical laws of science. The people who believe in psychic phenomena challenge what science tells us are a finite set of rules that govern the universe. But perhaps we don't yet know all the rules. In time, science may discover how to cultivate psychic potential and harness the untapped powers of the mind. For Sightings, I'm Tim White. Good night.
If you think what gets on in Living Color is outrageous, wait till you see the outtakes. This Sunday, In Living Color returns to its regular time at 8, 7 Central with a blooper special, followed by an all-new rock. Tomorrow night, ride with the men and women who respond to life and death emergencies. Witness real-life rescues on an all-new Code 3 right after Cops.